Welcome back to Fellowship of the Gains, where strength meets sanity and fantasy meets function. My name is Jesse Grund. I am the owner of Unconventional Strength in Orlando, Florida.
And I am Andrew Dettelbach, the owner of Wealth in the World. And I help people overcome pain and get back to living a life worth living through mindset, movement, and pain education.
I just own a gym. I mean, that's just all I do.
And
Andrew's
that's
business
respectable.
is so much more special than mine is. Today, we are going to be reviewing an Instagram post that may have got a little attention and got us a little heated. And when I say an Instagram post, there are many of them that do this, but this one specifically did it. And we thought that it was worth talking about. And then we are going to be introducing a new segment where we talk about some lessons that we've learned from our friends in Middle Earth. But first, Andrew.
I was going to say, Jamie, can you pull that up?
If it nice. Nice. I like it. We should have just watched it at the same time, but we'll talk about it here in a second. But Andrew, if you could train with any Lord of the Rings character for a week, who's your gym partner and why?
Oh, Sam.
Sam.
Yeah, I mean, he's strong.
He just lifts all your weight for you?
No, he'd spot me. I could trust him always. He'd be able to lift it.
Man. Mine would probably be Shelob.
I don't understand. Why?
Well, spiders are cool, and she's a giant queen spider who's hundreds of years old, and I'm sure she's got some lessons that she could teach me. Speaking of lessons, that's what we're going to be talking about this week. And first, let's get into that Instagram post, shall we? Can we talk about that a little bit? The one that we
here, let's give it a listen real fast.
Let's listen to it.
I think it's really funny when dudes in their 30s get into really good shape. It's like, you're trying to hoop now? Right now?
Yeah.
There's no scholarship. Oh, bro, I bench 250. It's like, oh,
why?
When's tryouts? When's football tryouts? Oh, 15 years ago?
You missed it. Relax. I have a theory, and especially when I see guys with kids do it, it's a man running away from his responsibilities. When you have 4 kids and you pick up that nice bicycle, bro, you're not trying to talk to your kids for real.
Those guys are waking up at 4 a.m. They're on the Kobe system to get away from their kids. Guys talking about gains. Gain trust. Gain trust.
In trust with your daughter.
Andrew, how do you feel about the discussion between those two gentlemen about what are you training for? Why are you trying to bench press? What are you trying to try out for the football team? How do you feel about that message?
First of all, I like comedy, so I enjoy. I laughed at it because I have thought that at times, even though I am that. So I relate to it. I get it, and also it's the wrong message being sent. But I respect the comedy, and I can laugh at things that make fun of me.
What's funny about it to me is, yes, it can be funny. But when we have less than 10% of the population that has an active gym membership, and even less than that actually use their gym memberships more than 2 times a week, and we have problems with cardiovascular health and obesity, and people are sick and they are dying, and we want to make fun of people for trying to throw up 250 on a bench press? I mean,
So there's something I notice when I go to anywhere. I'll see older people, and they'll just be like, oh yeah, I used to play football. Or, people that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s and above, just saying I used to do those things in high school. I used to be a track runner, whatever it was. And it just seems like you're only allowed to be fit and active when you're in high school or younger. After that, you have to work and have a family and work, and then you retire and do whatever the hell you do when you retire. But there's no room for fitness or sport or activity in your life, at least in the American life.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, yes, I like to laugh at things, but Man, that's coming from two guys who look like they may have never lifted a weight in their entire life. Let's be honest here. The heaviest thing they've done are 12-ounce curls. Let's be honest. But ultimately speaking, like
They probably carried
we
some 40s.
they might have. You're absolutely right. If I asked them to walk up 3 flights of stairs, would they be out of breath at the top of those 3 flights? Answer, most likely yes. We are a society, in my opinion, that as we've gotten more technologically advanced, we've gotten unhealthier because we use technology to do a lot of the things for us that we uh all of the manual labor and the systems and everything else, we use tech to do a lot of that stuff now, right?
Can you imagine
And so
washing
we're
your clothes on a washboard right now?
right, exactly, right? And so like I think there's a certain aspect of like, hey, understand that somebody who's chasing PRs in the gym is doing it usually because it's good for their mental health, it's good for their physical health, and doing something like chasing PRs sometimes is just good to keep you driving the boat forward, right? Like there's something to be said about like looking at numbers on the bar, seeing objective measurements to the way you train and using that to be able to drive you to show up the next day. Like, hey, I'm going to chase that 300-pound back squat. That's just what I'm going to do for the next 6 months. And I'm going to do everything I can to try and get there. Is it meaningless in the scope of like a 300-pound back squat compared to the rest of the general population? Sure. Who cares if you squat 300 pounds? But the journey to get there is all about being healthy, recovery, nutrition, and training. And if that's going to make you healthier, I'm all in for you doing it. I mean, that's my biggest problem with that whole conversation.
And I think the whole point of that would be to be more capable throughout your life. Because I've got
Right.
a lot of people in my family. I think there's only one other person that works out in my family consistently. My grandpa, he's been working out longer than I've been alive. And he's not like super educated in it, but like he's in his late 80s and he'll just get out of bed and do 50 squats, 50 push-ups. And I don't know what they look like. They're probably not like stellar. And then he'll go walk on do the elliptical or walk or something like that for like an hour. And he's done that every day of his life. And he's super capable. His memory's on point. He can do whatever he wants. He's traveling the world. He's going to China, walking on the wall, like all kinds of stuff. And that's kind of what we want to have as we get older. And no one else in my family does that. And they're not capable. They're not able, they're like struggling. They're like in their 60s.
That's the biggest lesson. So the motto on the door at Unconventional Strengths is strength, mobility, and movement without limits. The idea for me behind movement without limits is that I would like to live a life free of limitations because of how well or how poorly I move. So like when I retire, I want to be able to climb every mountain, swim every river, do everything that I want to do within the realm of reason. Like I'm not, hiking through the jungles of South America when I retire. And side note, I own my own business, so retirement is a long ways off. And by a long ways, I mean probably after I'm dead. But I say all that to say that like the idea of I'm going to invest all this time. And I recently had a client, he left training with me and he was like, well, I want to put more money away from retirement. And I was like, but you came to me broken. You're not as broken anymore. You're not training at all on your own. What happens when you get to retirement and you're spending half of your retirement money on doctor's visits, surgeries, and not being able to enjoy your retirement? Then retirement becomes a gigantic waste of time. Why are you just not working? It's just, to me, it doesn't make sense. The idea of living a life where my joints are strong, my cardiovascular health is strong, I have mental clarity, and we all know that all comes from exercise, is a very important aspect of quality of life. Because it's not just longevity, it's quality of that life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to look at what are the investments we can make now to have higher quality of life later on. And I think exercise and chasing PRs in the gym can be one of those things as long as it's within reason.
Because you can live a long life on oxygen in a wheelchair with doctor's
Right?
visits, with a nurse helping you out.
Right? Yeah.
You can live a long time, but that's not a quality life. I was going to say the other thing, what I thought was crazy is they talked about they're like, especially dads. Like if you're a dad, you should not be worried about doing exercise. Like you've got your work and your family. Like that's why you want to do exercise. You want to be able to throw with your kids and run around with them and pick them up and stuff like that. It blew my mind. Like why would that not be a goal?
So this is pretty serious. I know we're kind of fluffing here, but I do want to say something. So recently there was a how do I put this? I'm just gonna say he was a gentleman who preyed on children who was being interviewed in jail. And he said that he would look for the dads that were the strongest to avoid going after their children. So if that's not incentive enough to be a big jack strong dad, there is nothing that's incentive enough in that case. I want to be able to protect and take care of my family, play with my kids for the rest of their life. I had kids a little later on in life, not too much later on, but I mean, my daughter was born while I was 41, I think. And so like, I want to be able to hang with her, hang with my son, hang with any future children, and do everything and not have to look at them and go, you know what? My back's just not feeling it today. I'm just going to sit here. You go outside and go shoot baskets without me. I don't want to miss out on any of those moments. And we know strength and longevity are critical for that. And this was the thing I was going to say before. I never want anyone to have to wipe my ass for me.
We're going there. I get you.
I mean, God's honest truth. I want to be able to take care of the critical aspects of my health for the rest of my life. And unless I'm like injured and I break both of my arms and someone has to do it for me, I want to always be able to do that myself.
I had that happen. All this talk about fitness and strength and makes you stronger, all this stuff. There are chances of getting injuries. However, doing the strength training, doing the exercise is going to reduce the number of injuries over the long term of your life. So I went and picked up my 150-pound sandbag routine. It was like I was super stressed. I was trying to build a program at that time. I was like burning the candle at both ends. I go pick up the sandbag and I feel like 6 pops in the left side of my back, my QL muscle. I felt it just like tearing. And it went into spasm and stayed in spasm for like 5 days. I'm not, dude, I could barely walk. I could not reach back and wipe.
Oof.
Or forward. Any movement of my arms and legs would cause my back to spasm. So I was like, it took me 30 minutes to get to the toilet. Katie did the deed. She rocked it for me. She was a nurse too, so she understood.
Fair enough.
So there are times when you may need it, but guess what? I can do it myself now. Mm-hmm.
You know who wouldn't mock you for not being able to wipe your own ass? Boromir, and that's who we're going to talk about. He is going to be our first subject of the Mordor Mentality, where we take and draw strength lessons from characters that were a part of the Fellowship. Boromir...
Does it have to be the Fellowship? You brought up Shelob earlier.
I was just joking about working out with Shelob. I don't want to work out with Shelob. It's a spider.
What could you
Kill
learn
that thing.
from
okay, burn the house
other
down.
things outside the Fellowship, you know?
I mean, who else are we going to pick outside the Fellowship, though? The Fellowship is, like, they're the G's, right?
Elrond?
What are we learning from Elrond?
Mr. Anderson.
But the Fellowship specifically, and let me, real quick, I brought up Boromir for a couple different reasons. One, I believe he's the first tragic character of the entirety of the story. Self-sacrifice and all these things that we're going to talk about. And Sean Bean plays him in the film. And we
know what that means.
Sean Bean's going to be him. He's going to die. I did watch a movie the other day where Sean Bean didn't die. Not to tangent, but we watched National Treasure with Nicolas Cage. And he didn't die at the end. He went to jail. So I was so surprised. I was like, he's going to die in the elevator and he's alive.
As much crap as that movie gets, I really enjoy it.
I almost steal the Declaration of Independence. Well, one of these days we'll have my brother on the show and he can tell you all about his love of Nicolas Cage. But anyway, I wanted to pick out Boromir because I honestly think in his tragic story that there's a lot of really cool takeaways that we can use for how we take care of ourselves and how we train. And that's where the idea behind the Mordor mentality started. We're on our way. We're on this journey. And what can we learn from other people that are on the journey with us? So Boromir is where we are going to start. And Andrew, for those of the individuals at home who are listening to a Lord of the Rings fitness podcast who don't know who Boromir is, can you give them a little background on his story?
Boromir is the son of the Steward of Gondor, which means he's kind of like the prince in a way of that capital. And he is sent to Rivendell to go meet with the Fellowship, and he was chosen to be one of the people to carry the load of the ring and help him get to Mordor. And he doesn't get very far.
I think what they said was I think it's about four months, I think. I want to double check, but it's like 4 or 5 months before that they're all together. And then he dies.
Producer Kevin, he's literally the only one that dies.
Perspective, I was just about to say it. Thank you, Producer Kevin, for stealing my thunder. He's the only member of the Fellowship who dies. So he is the only one who sacrifices himself for the sake of the journey, for the sake of the Fellowship. And I think, again, truly heroic the way he goes out. But I think there's a lot of really cool lessons that we can learn from Boromir. So
it took him a long time to get to that point. He's not a very likable character.
He's not likable in the movie. Actually, I thought he was. He's just. We'll talk about that a little bit as we get into the things that we can learn from Boromir. But I do believe that he is just really concerned about his home and wanting to protect it. And that's the first thing on his mind. And the world of men was very skewed from the rest of Middle Earth at that time. So, Andrew?
Okay, first of all, I'm like,
go ahead.
Did he model this character? Did Tolkien model this character after someone in his life? I've always wondered, because like this is such an in-depth, like huge chronological story that he's put together. It's obviously based on a lot of aspects of war, religion, all kinds of crazy pieces. Like, is there someone that was just like kind of selfish and not really focused on the whole aspect of like Middle Earth, but more like, let me just save my city? Who cares about these other people?
I think you have you and I do not share the same impression of Boromir as a character then.
Because he wanted he's like, I want the ring because I can save
the
Gondor.
Ring perverted him. It perverts people. That's what it does. It draws on your fears. It's a living entity.
But it did it to him
you.
So much more and so much easier, which means
because
he's
he
already
had the
got
most
some
amount of
selfish
fear.
qualities.
Because he had the most amount of fear because he had been on the front lines protecting Gondor his entire life. So when you look at what his life was battle. His life was fighting against Mordor pretty much from the time that he could pick up a sword. So there's an important aspect in the movie of him talking about, you don't know what Mordor is like. And it's true. None of them knew what Mordor was like except for Boromir, because he stared at it every you-know-what day. And so there was more fear in him. And again, big difference between the books and the movie. In the books, he suddenly turns. In the movie, they made the decision to allow him to like turn over time, which is
but like
which is
even in the
different.
meeting, he's like, we could use this.
We can, because we need to defeat them. Because my entire life, all I've done is see people die all around me because of Mordor, and I just want to beat them, and I don't want to fight anymore. Like, I can appreciate that mindset from Boromir. So I think he had a unique perspective in comparison to the rest of the Fellowship. Gandalf was world-traveled. Aragorn was obviously older. Legolas was an elf who was pretty reserved to being, an elf and dealing with evil things as they came around. But Boromir had actually fought against Mordor his whole life. So I think there's something to be said about somebody who had always been in battle and just didn't want to fight anymore and was like, finally, here's the weapon that we can use to defeat Sauron. Here it is. It's right in front of me. We need to take it and let's use it. Let's use it because I don't think I can do this anymore was what I felt like was his emotion as he was going.
But even after having that explained to him, he just kind of like was honed in on it still. Like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to use it.
But he volunteered. He volunteered for the fellowship. That was all volunteer basis. Who, I don't know the way. Who will go with me? And you carry the weight of us all, little one. And then he volunteered to be a part of the fellowship and then listened to Aragorn lead the fellowship. He didn't disagree with this. And then, like, all the things that he did, teaching Merry and Pippin how to sword fight and, you know, and then sacrificing himself in a redemption arc at the end. I mean, I do think that he redeemed that one act, but the rest of it, he had acted nobly the whole time. So I do think that he had a moment of weakness, and we all make mistakes. That's one of the lessons I want to talk about. We all make mistakes. Boromir made his. He was perverted by the ring and tried to redeem himself and did so by saving Merry and Pippin and sacrificing himself and taking like 8 arrows to the chest.
That. I just don't think I ever thought too much about him. He just annoyed me and like, he's gone, like whatever.
There is a reason Aragorn wore his braces for the rest of the time. It was to honor him. I mean, if Boromir really sucked that bad, Aragorn would have been like, all right, guess he's gone. All right, moving on.
Book, right?
I love it. Yeah, that was the quote. I only ask for the strength to defend my people. That's it. Boromir he didn't want to, it wasn't about winning. It was about not fighting anymore. And I think there's a big difference between the two. So, you want to go with your first lesson from Boromir now that we've debated Boromir the character?
I think that near the end there, he was pretty badass when he took a bunch of massive arrows to the chest from a huge Uruk-hai. And he just kept fighting. So when it comes to lessons in life, that one's extreme because he's going to die. But we're going to get injured, and we're also going to need to find a way to continue to train. So, and exercise and move and keep living our life. And I think that, you know, if someone, they'll be like, I stopped working out because I hurt my shoulder. I'm like, you have legs, you have a core, you have another arm. Like, go do things. Like, if this one needs to completely rest for whatever reason, let it do that. But you have the rest of your body. And then when it comes to, like, the back. So the back is pretty interesting because if you injure your back, the upper and lower body can hurt it. Like, whether it's sciatica, disc injury, like, your core involvement can really affect how your back feels. And yet, you can still do stuff. Like, even if you're lying down flat in your bed, doing band work with your arms, doing some band work with your feet, your toes, your legs, you can still do something. And that matters because it's going to help you kind of stay on track and work toward your ultimate goal.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of, I had a friend tell me one time, just quick anecdote. I was like, how's the gym been going? How your workouts been going? He's like, oh man, I got hurt recently, so I've taken a couple weeks off. I was like, oh man, what'd you hurt? He goes, really hurt my right thumb.
That's you're just looking for an excuse not to do anything.
You have 9 other digits on like what? So yeah, I think that's a really good lesson. Another one that we've kind of talked about a little bit is, I think he's one of the most confident characters in the Fellowship. He knows who he is. He embraces who he is. He embraces his strengths and then uses those strengths, and we see that in battle. He's the only character that uses a shield. When you think about it, he's the only one who's sword and shield. Everybody else is sword.
Maybe he isn't that confident then.
But I do believe his confidence gives us a lesson especially for the weight room. And one of the rules that I tell my clients when they're training is, when you're moving, be confident in what you're doing and commit to it. And me as a coach, I'm either going to compliment you, correct you, or both. It's the 3 C's. And I think being confident in the way you move makes you inherently a better mover. Being confident under the bar, confident when you're on a set of TRX straps, confident when you're working through some really tough intervals, it feeds into your ability to do things. We see in sports and athletics. Those with more confidence typically perform at higher levels because they're not questioning what their abilities are. They're just acting. So I do believe that Boromir recognizing who he was and being strong and not wavering was confidence. And I think there is something to be said about walking into the environment, such as a weight room or your Orange Theory class or whatever it is you're going, and going, I'm going to kill this. I got this. That confident mindset, it just goes a long way. And
from a pain and injury perspective, confidence can be gained pretty quickly just by doing those little things that you weren't able to do, and just slowly pushing your body to do those things, like putting on your socks. Like there's times where I feel like I can't put on my socks, and doing some really basic movements that you think are dumb and don't help that much can help you get to that point. And once you start to feel that and experience that confidence again, you're going to skyrocket your progress.
You want to go for your second one?
What was my other one? We talked about this. He wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for his mission. And I definitely agree with that. He wasn't really that focused on what the Fellowship wanted. But I think that's what a lot of us need to focus on when it comes to strengthening, when it comes to exercise, is making sure that we are focusing on doing it for us and not for other people. It can be, for me, like I'm on social media a lot. Like I have a huge driver of people like looking at me, watching how my body changes, stuff like that. And I had to make a pretty drastic change to my training this last year, just with stress and everything. And that was a conscious decision to not like push my body to get bigger and more like bulky for social media, and instead focus on moving in ways that feel good for me. And, you've helped me a ton with that in coaching me in the last several months. And, that's been just great, just doing it for me.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about knowing why you're doing something and doing it because of it. That becomes your mission, right? What's my mission statement? Companies have mission statements all the time. What are we trying to achieve? What are we trying to do? Why do we do it? And when it comes to exercise and fitness, I 100% agree. There's got to be reasons. Psychology-wise, we talk about motivations, right? We talk about extrinsic and intrinsic motivations, which tend to be our missions, right? And I think intrinsic motivations are the stuff that get you out of bed, and your mission is the type of thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. One of the big things that I appreciate about Boromir is Boromir was always a leader. So Steward of Gondor, he is a leader, but when he becomes a part of a fellowship, he has to humble himself to actually listen and learn from somebody else. And I think there is something to be said about having that mentality and not walking in thinking that you need to be the leader in every situation that you're in. Uh-huh. So this is a message not just for those of you who work out in the weight room, but also people who just became certified personal trainers, coaches, grad assistants. Humble yourself in this field, in your environments, to realize that there's always something to learn, and there's probably somebody who's smarter than you in that room with you. Boromir accepted that. He was respectful to Aragorn. He listened to Aragorn. Aragorn was much more his senior because he was one of the Dunedain Rangers, so he was much older. And he understood who Aragorn was. He knew he was Isildur's heir. He knew what his status was. And understanding and respecting and learning from people with more experience than you needs to happen for the rest of your life. It still happens for me. I still have people in my life that I reach out to that I have tremendous amount of respect for, and I listen and I learn from them. So do not be afraid, if you're just a general person listening to this, to reach out to somebody who knows more than you do when it comes to health, wellness, and strength, to be able to humble yourself, even if the role that you are in your regular life is one of leadership. So if you're the president and CEO of a company, but you don't know anything about strength and conditioning or fitness, it's okay to humble yourself to go learn from somebody else and sit underneath their tutelage. And I think Boromir showed us that by being somebody who was a leader in his world and then just became a member of this small fellowship.
Yeah, I think that another thing is that he kind of took responsibility, kind of went crazy at the end there, and just trying to take the ring and everything, but he caught himself. and kind of took responsibility for it, apologized for it, and then went and did something about it. And I think that that's a super important thing to remember in life, because there's a lot of things that people are going to lie about and not take responsibility for. And this has nothing to do with training necessarily. This is just probably something more important, is just to build relationships, to take responsibility for any mistakes you make, and own up to it and learn from it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me when I was younger, my dad said character was one of the most important things for me to learn. And part of having lots of character is owning up to your mistakes and trying to make right by them and not try and pass them off onto somebody else. So I do think that's really, really important. We've kind of talked about this with Boromir. We know that he ended up sacrificing himself to save others. And that seems, I mean, overall, we should always be trying to take care of our fellow man first. So that's an overall overarching narrative to life. Love your enemies, love your neighbors. In the weight room, to me, or in health and fitness, that means when you're in an environment with other people, it's okay to do something nice for someone, like spotting them or taking care of them, even if it's going to take time away from what you're doing. I think it's such a small thing, but it matters so much. We see sometimes these really amazing moments on social media where somebody's struggling under the bar and then somebody comes and saves them that they don't know and spots them, or somebody catches them before something bad happens to them. And that's not really self-sacrifice, but it really is going out of your way for your fellow man to treat them with kindness and respect, and to care for them like you care for the people that you care about in your life. So next time you're at a Globo gym, next time you're at your Planet Fitness or your whatever, I don't know. I don't
24
know
hour
all the
fitness
brands anymore. 24 Crunch, LA, wherever you're going, try to find the opportunity to actually do something nice for somebody else that's there. Not in like a creepy way, not get in there, not hey, can I make your video for you while you're posing with a wedgie?
This yeah. Don't look at me. I just want to say that you want to do things for people that also aren't there, like re-racking your weights and cleaning your stuff up.
Right.
You may not see people around, but those people are going to appreciate coming in and seeing that things are organized, even if they have no idea that you're the one that did it. Yeah,
and even more so, like, now we take that a step further. Self-sacrifice, if you're in a group that works out together, also means sometimes doing things that you don't want to do because somebody else on your squad needs it. And I think that's another really important like caveat to that lesson. You know, I've worked out in groups before where somebody in the group starts prepping for, let's just say, for instance, one of those mud runs, which are like obstacle courses and mudding and stuff. And if that's my squad and that's my crew and they're prepping for that, I'm gonna support them through it. If that means they need training help, or if that means they need somebody to run with them or hold them accountable or whatever it is, I'm gonna be there for them. That's part of that commitment as part of that group. And I think there needs to be more of that camaraderie. So go got 8 people to form your own fellowship of the gym, or of the gains, if you will, and start and start working on finding common goals that you can work on together, because I guarantee you it's going to drive you to greater achievements in your health and well-being than you'll do on your own.
You know, what the hell is the thing behind your head? The Court of Owls. Is that...
Ooh, do you want to talk about the Court of Owls?
It's been on every podcast, and I just have not
So it's
realized.
a Batman. It's a Batman thing. So Court of Owls. This is one of the masks of a very secret society that has been running Gotham from the shadows basically since the inception of Gotham City. And those are the masks that they wear to hide their face and hide their true identities. So the Court of Owls. Your last lesson from Boromir.
I already said it. The responsibility.
You did. I did 3 and you did 3.
I didn't want to do the one that was written there, so I made a new one.
You made a new one. That's nice. I love when you create things, Andrew.
But I did like the additional question that Sir Kevin wrote up for us. What
Did
is
he get
the
knighted since our
arrow?
last episode and I don't
Yeah.
know about it?
What's the arrow in the chest that you've experienced in your life, either training or life, where you've had to overcome it? What is that? 3 arrows to your chest.
Oh, geez.
Not
Tearing
3,
my
not
calf.
3 things. You just be one. Tearing your calf. Achilles?
Tearing my gastroc earlier this year was, or last year was definitely that was a throw me off everything that I was working towards at the time. I was in a really good training cycle.
Did you get booted?
I had pushed it. What's up?
Did they put a boot on you or something?
No, I mean, I went to an ortho and he looked at it, and I actually self-assessed my Achilles after I tore my calf, and I figured out it was just my gastroc, and I was like, yay, it's not my Achilles. And I was told that the only reason it wasn't my Achilles was because my ankle mobility was really solid. So kudos to working on ankle mobility.
Have you had any other like wild injuries at any point?
No, I broke my 5th metatarsal on my left foot. That's my pinky toe, by the way. Throwing a Muay Thai kick. Let's see. I proximally dislocated a finger. So for those of you who, just to teach you, proximal dislocations are joint on top of joint. Distal dislocations are the bone comes away from the joint. So like for this, you see like a finger dislocate. Usually you'll see it facing one way or the other. For me, the 2 bones went on top of each other. So like
that's cool. I've never seen that.
This finger right here is not supposed to go that far.
It's got some good extension.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. It comes out really easily.
Get some of that a little bit.
Yikes! That's what it's. Is this what it's like to have hypermobility? So no, I'd say I've hurt my back a couple of times. Anything major, but tearing my calf I thought something fell off the wall behind me and hit me in the leg. And when I turned around to look, I was like, there's nothing there. I definitely just popped my gastroc. Oh crap, I hope it's not my Achilles. And then self-assessed it. And I was like, okay, it's not my Achilles, thank God.
I've had a lot of injuries.
Jeez.
From doing nothing particularly cool.
I feel like you might have sneezed and injured yourself at one point.
I have. That was my disc herniation. It was a cough, actually. Right. And yeah, that was a 2-year process. I didn't really work out for a couple of years. Not to the extent that I was. But I've had rotator cuff strains that lasted a year. I've had FAI, so femoral acetabular impingement.
We've talked about that.
That was arguably more intense than my disc herniation, believe it or not. That was very limiting. I landed on my head trying to do a backflip on a trampoline. So I touched my forehead to like my sternum. I felt so many pops, dude. The first thing I did was I just laid there, didn't move, and I wiggled my toes and fingers. I'm like, thank God. I was like, I was like, whatever amount of pain I'm gonna have, whatever.
You were the bride from Kill Bill. You were like, wiggle the big toe, and you did it. And you're like, okay, I can move. All right,
I'm good to go. I've injured every joint in my body.
Yeesh. I mean, I would like to say that I was fearless, and I probably would have gotten more injured, but I was always like trying to protect myself, probably to my detriment. When it came to like sports and stuff. I mean, I played football, but man, it took me to my senior year of high school to be like, I really like this contact thing. And it's like, oh, I've wasted the last 3 years not liking contact.
I didn't even, that's like, I never did stuff like that. Like, yeah, I did the trampoline thing. I broke my arm in soccer. I got kicked in the arm. Broke my jaw on a bike, just going like 2 miles an hour.
Jeez Louise. I mean, I have had a fall, but so I tore my gastroc, and I got this really cool, I should have brought it over. I had this really cool peg leg thing that I found on Amazon where it was like a knee supporter, but it also had a little leg underneath it. So I got to like walk with it everywhere, which was awesome. Cool. And I honestly I tried to stay mobile. I kept lifting. I kept working out. I did so much stuff on the ground. I did so much knee work and hip work on that side. I was just like, listen, I'm hurt. I can't jump. I tried going back to jujitsu once while it was torn. And I was like, I'm just going to do everything from my back. I'm not going to do anything major. And as soon as I like did a transition, I felt a little twinge and I was like, yeah, I can't do that anymore. And so I just worked through it. I found other things that I could do and I did them. And I did them, you know, just like Boromir, I took the arrows to the chest and kept fighting. And that's what we need to do.
I've been working out for 20 years now, and I've always been able to work out to some extent. Like if I'm doing finger exercises, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do something.
What was the other question on there? Was there another one?
It was kind of what we talked about. Do you think Boromir would have been misunderstood today?
I think the fandom's probably relatively split on Boromir, and I think we're a perfect microcosm of like somebody who's like, it's Sean Bean and he was selfish, and me who's like, dude's just tired of fighting, man. He's just tired of it. He's been doing it his whole life, and I think I am, as somebody who's just been fighting my whole life for like justice and truth because I'm Batman. No, I'm just kidding. But because
what are you talking about?
for like in my fields, like using evidence and being factual and that sort of thing, I get it. It's just like, hey, I've got this weapon right here. We could end it all. It's like, give it. Well, just give it. I will take it. And he had to be the most selfless of the entirety of the Fellowship, in my opinion. Okay. And I know that's going to be, hot take, but just think about it. Boromir was not there for himself. He was there for the people of Gondor. If he was there for himself, he would have just left. He was there to protect an entire city and, in essence, all of Middle-earth. Okay? And I think there's something to be said, and each of them brought their own selflessness to it, but I mean, he's sitting there going, I've got to protect all of Gondor. If I leave, it's not going to work out. So, yeah, hot take. Boromir, selfless.
I'm sorry, this is totally random, but why didn't they just take those ghostly dudes just to Mordor? Just like, I get it.
Their oath was fulfilled.
I know, but did it have to be? I'm like, they've been there for hundreds of years. You may as well just.
It's a topic. That's a topic for another episode. That's a topic for another
Fine.
episode. Speaking of other episodes, we've got a slew of other episodes on here. Interviews with some really cool people. We've talked about home gyms. We've given our stories. So if you like this episode, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page and become a part of the Fellowship. Our Fellowship for real.
And follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If people do that, I do that. People always do Spotify. I do the Apple stuff.
Me too.
Also, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. We are at Fellowship of the Gains.
And we will see you next week. And make sure you stay in the Fellowship.
All right, everybody. Take care. Nerd up.
Bye.